You know what I'm saying?
Well, I told you you wasn't gonna get a divorce. I knew it wasn't gonna happen.
You didn't know.
Yes, I did.
So I'm gonna file for my divorce.
So no going back this time.
I tell you what, if it looks like I'm giving in, you remind me.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is, you know what time it is. We talking about love and marriage, Huntsville. Alright, leave it there. Alright, listen, talking to you guys about Melody and Martell again. We're going to talk about Melody and the reason why she has not left this particular marriage. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for a notification of the uploads. And for those of you returnees, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. You got the minerals. Yeah, yeah. If you enjoy the Mineral Gang, make sure as well you remember Mineral Gang is all about courage, power, and all about the valor. You understand? If you're not those things, if you're not brave, if you're not courageous, no point joining. You have to be courageous. You understand? That's what Mineral stands for. If you're courageous, join the team. You understand? Click on the link down below. All right, cool. Let's get into it. So, just talking to you guys obviously about the situation between Martell and Melody. Obviously I didn't watch last season to the end. I know there's a lot of stuff that went on, but what obviously I remember I remember the whole situation about the cheating. If you've seen my video, I did a video on it. I watched the whole season. I watched that particular part of the season anyway. We're back here again at the beginning of the season where we're seeing a conversation between Melody and Martell about his previous cheating. Now, here's my thing. Why do women stay in these type of relationships? Why does Melody stay in this relationship? Now, she said that obviously they separated, they broke up, and then obviously they decided to have conversation around certain things and talk. And as they talked, they found themselves back at the same point. What's interesting is the fact that Melody's friend said, "All right, listen, I knew you were going to come back here. You were talking about divorce, but I knew you were going to come right back here. You've been making your way back to me, babe. And I know it's burning inside, but you're making my way back to me, baby." You know what I'm saying? She came right back, right? After saying she was not going to come back. And the reason why a lot of people come back is because when they actually sit down to think about it and count the cost of splitting from their partner, the cost of it is too great. And I'm not talking financially, I'm talking about emotionally, I'm talking about physically, I'm talking about spiritually. It affects you in all domains. And so it's not just a split, it's a breaking apart, it's a tearing apart of yourself from somebody who you still potentially love and care for, but are so hurt by it, you can't foresee yourself with that person any longer. And so what you see with Melody and Martell is that she mentioned the fact that the reason why she actually stayed in a relationship is because she saw some changes of behavior. And I want to say this to you about relationships. When people cheat, there has to be some significant work that's done when people cheat. The person who cheats must do significant work. Do you understand? There is work to do. Work, 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 work. You see me say your work, 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 work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to do so much work in that place. And the work that you do is partly what he's doing already, which is 1, counseling. You got to do that. 2, taking full accountability and then change of behavior, which is now to say, hey, look, I know you don't trust me, but I'm gonna do some things that are going to allow you to have some control in my aspect of life where you can feel at ease.
You know, he's continued with therapy. He has my phone passcode, I have his. I'm able to go into his social media messaging accounts. He says he's going somewhere, he's on FaceTime to show me that's where he is.
Like she said, passwords to social media, telling me where you're going, where you're meant to be going. You know what I'm saying? Like, give me a call when you arrive, and having the passcodes or passwords to your phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of these things are going to show that, hey, I'm open to the process of the fact that I know that you're not going to be able to trust me 100% right now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out my olive branch and say, hey, I'm ready for you to take control in those parts of my life or have access to it where I don't have sovereignty over them no more. All right, solo sovereignty. And actually I'm going to say, listen, I subject myself to that, because I know that you need to trust me. And so in order to do that, I'm going to open up access to different parts of my life so that you can see there's nothing in there. Right? Because the whole point of cheating is that you deceived the person, you lied to the person. Yeah, you did things that you never agreed upon in your relationship.
When I look at him and want to slap him real good.
Well, B Real's been days that she slaps him really good.
She was talking about how some days, she feels like she wants to slap him. and then spoke about rekindling love. So yes, you know, when someone cheats on you, there is an aspect of wanting to fight them, you know, because you're so angry and so in pain and so engrossed in frustration, and you just don't know what to do with yourself. You don't know who you are, where you're meant to be going. Suddenly life doesn't make sense, and so a slap comes out because you need to be able to release your anger, right? Doesn't make it right, and I'm not agreeing with it at all. Yeah, but she's not saying that she has that. She just said obviously she feels like that, and it makes sense because obviously the person who's done it to you is standing right in front of you, and you know they're not hurting, you're hurting, right? And that's painful to be in. And so she spoke about obviously the fact that rekindling this love, you know, that it gets to a point in relationships where turbulence hits and you hit a plateau where you're just coasting, right? And at that point, it's dangerous for anybody because anybody who gets too comfortable with a person can end up trying to look for excitement elsewhere or look for the unknown quantity out there. Do you know what I'm saying? With that particular situation, obviously as well, you know, there's open-ended honesty because of what you guys have decided you're going to do. You're going to be going to therapy. You're going to be open up access to each other. But actually, it's funny because in relationships we should have this open honesty anyway. I'm not saying that you want to be giving out all your passwords, but surely if we're talking about open honesty, there would be normally this type of honesty within a relationship, right? And I'm not saying give out your passwords again, guys. I think there's also a level of transparency. I'm just making sure that I say transparency. There's also a level of ownership that you need to have and sovereignty of your own life. And there shouldn't be an entanglement of boundaries where, you know, obviously the Bible says two will become one, but to the point where obviously, yeah, you know, you're in everything that I do and I'm in everything that you do. There needs to be time for oneself in order to work on oneself, in order to grow for oneself, to come back into a relationship and be able to share their experiences. So that's very, very important as well. And you know, I want to say this as well. We should normalize therapy and counseling for couples who are going through a rough patch. We should always encourage that so that they can get themselves to a place of sound counsel. You know, the Bible says there's safety in a multitude of counselors, right? And so when there's a team of people around you, it makes it more safer. Do you get what I'm saying? But one thing is as well, like, if you really deep the reason why Melody's staying, I mean, I've got like maybe 7 or 8 points here.
Told you wasn't gonna get a divorce. I knew it wasn't gonna happen.
You didn't know?
Yes, I did.
So I'm gonna file for my divorce.
So no going back this time.
But there's fear of loneliness, low self-esteem. The partner, if she feels that someone feels that the partner can change, there's a God complex. Sometimes I can save you. There is financial stability as an issue. There is the children to think about. The fact that abuse can sometimes be normalized, and that the person may not know any better. Do you understand? In terms of the person who's leaving or should be leaving, they might not know any better. And for Melody, I'm looking at it going, the idea of this great family maybe makes a lot of sense to her because, you know, Martell's now looking after the kids. She's able to flourish and do her business. It's the perfect family unit, but unfortunately, it's not perfect. And that's the biggest thing, I think, for a lot of men and women, that when they find out the relationship is not perfect and they find out, listen, this may be coming to an end because we're not meeting on a certain plane, it's very painful to think about. So when you talk about fear of loneliness, what you're really talking about is, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be on my own. And where would I find a husband at this age? Who will take me on? I've got kids. Who would want to be able to look after my kids? Like, thinking about all these kind of things can be very, very scary for someone, and think to themselves they may fear that loneliness. Another aspect is that they got their own low self-esteem. Now, I don't know if Melody has that because I didn't really see that from her, but that can also be a reason as to why someone wants to stay in a relationship where they're not getting the best or the same benefits that they need to be getting. You know, we're talking about God complex. You know, that fact, some people just have the savior complex, that they always want to save the individual. And sometimes they think to themselves, if I can hang on, if I can stay, if I can do this, then that person now, the person I'm talking about will now be saved. They'll now change their way. But the Bible says, listen, it's the gospel that has the power to save, not man. So none of us can save the other individual. That person is unwilling to be saved. They're not going to be saved. You can throw out as many lifeboats and life jackets as much as you want, life ring bowls, or what you want. The person doesn't want to grab onto it. So what do? Let them drown. You have to sometimes just let it go and say, it's not for me. You know, financial stability is a huge thing in relationships. I've already said this earlier on as well. The children is a huge thing as well. I think a lot of people don't realize that the residue and the weight of splitting and then having kids and then establishing a time frame or season for when a man can come and see his kids is madness, right? And nobody really wants to face that because it's a whole logistics game, and it means having even more discussions when we don't like each other, and that's the hardest thing. I don't like you, but I've got to still be able to work with you and discuss with you because we've got kids together. It's a lot of collateral, you know what I'm saying, to get rid of. You know, other things is that abuse seems to become normalized, and so the person doesn't argue because abuse has now worked. It's broken the boundaries of truth and has entered in the subconscious mind of the individual person, and now they feel that this is a stronghold in their life. Do you get me? And so the abuse is normalized. And the final thing is, the person doesn't know any better. You know, this is what they believe. They believe that this is the best relationship they can get. Nothing else is going to make sense. Do you understand? And I know that Melody is a great cat. She's a great woman. But now she's got 4 kids. So she might be thinking to herself, so who would find me and 4 kids? Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of that to go into the mind. And the longer this drags out, like your relationship, the less weight it seems or gravity that the woman seems to have, because now if you built out 5-10 years, ain't nobody trying to fall, ain't nobody trying to exit after 10 years. Well, women are trying to exit after 10 years because they've invested their time and energy into it, so they'll make as much as they can do to make it work. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, there's a lot of things here. I just think to myself, with Melody and Martell, I just hope that Melody gets sense.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at you. We must get Melody to a point where she can understand, listen, my worth is not in the fact that I have a husband. My worth is not in my looks. My worth is not in the fact that, you know what, that my worth is not based upon your actions and your behavior. You know what I'm saying? So she needs to be outside of that fact that her value is not based upon her what's been acted on about her. Whoa, what am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying, bro. You can't do that. I think as well, obviously, Melody, wants to be able to make this work, and I can understand 4 kids. You've been together for a very long time, but there was something that really scared me. She said, obviously, I know some of you are gonna come up in here and be saying, obviously, I knew you'd get back of her, blah 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 blah. And it's like, babe, why are you coming up onto here to tell us that you knew that we would tell you this? Because you knew that we would tell you this. You understand? And not only that, but it's the way that you're dressing it. It sounds like you really are hurt, but you're coming out with pride, and that's the truth. Sometimes we don't come out with our true emotions, how we truly feel. It is your pride that is filtered by your pain that is now coming out to show us that, I know you guys are going to say, obviously, that, I didn't leave, blah, 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 blah.
For the people who claim that I was never going to leave Martell, I say, go on and get you a job as a psychic, honey, because you read my mind better than me, because I ain't even know.
Okay, if y'all so correct that y'all should be this and that. And it's like, blood, no one wants to be this and that. Just be honest. You got it wrong. Just be honest. You've gone back, and it's okay. You can go back. It's okay. We don't agree with it, but you can go back. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Nobody ain't cutting you down, baby. You know what I'm saying? We just want to see the best for you. So simple as that, really. I don't want to go too much into depth of it again. But Melody and Martell, I'm scared. I don't know if they're going to make it through. I don't think they're going to make it. I know that I can make it. Something inside so strong. Yeah, appreciate you guys. A lot, so loaded.